Hello, this is Bishop Mark Seitz. I'm joined by our Vicar General, Father Ben Flores, and also our Chancellor, Patricia Lopez. And we wanted to come to you with some conclusions that we've drawn at this point about steps that we need to take in the Diocese of El Paso regarding our activity as a church. And certainly with coronavirus, all of us are having to change the way we live and things that we do, and it's for the sake of our entire community. With that in mind, I've just met with the Priest Council of the Diocese, and we came to some conclusions of these further steps. First of all, and I know this is probably the most impactful decision we had to sadly come to, and that is that we are going to cancel the public celebration of the Mass in the Diocese of El Paso, meaning that Mass will continue to be celebrated in all of our parishes, but with a limited group under the prescribed 10, and then in many cases broadcast. We will still be meeting, praying, and offering Masses for the intentions you request, but we won't be able to have a crowd present for the Mass. And it's a very major step for us, but one which we've concluded is necessary for the sake of all of us, for the sake of our community and the health of our members. So in addition to that, of course, we've already spoken about limiting any large gatherings, and that means now anything over 10. Parishes are going to need to cancel whatever activities they might have had, retreats, bazaars, liturgical celebrations such as confirmations, weddings, funeral masses, and the like, in order to protect our community during this period of time when it's so essential that we slow down the spread of this very damaging virus. So anything that you have planned, if there aren't exceptions. There are going to be no Masses that are celebrated in which the public can be present, and that includes celebrations for Holy Week and Easter. It's heartbreaking, certainly to me and to all of us, but again, it seems that this is the penance that has been laid out for us during this time in our life. And we're going to have to find other ways that we can continue to worship God from home, via the internet, and so on, in order to continue our responsibility, which never ceases, to worship God and to serve Him. The sacrament of reconciliation, confession, will continue to be offered, but we are working on the details of how that will be done in each church. We're going to have to close most of our churches for at least a time, because what the priests are telling me is that they don't have cleaning supplies. And we have a responsibility, if we have people coming in and out of our churches, to sanitize pews and so on. We're told that the virus can live on wood for 72 hours. So we have to be responsible in this regard as well. And we might have to have a drive for cleaning supplies so that we can be sure that we're keeping our churches to be safe places. And at that time, we will make them open for groups that are less than 10. In other words, we'll always have to be monitoring the number in the church, and we would ask you to self-monitor once the churches are open. And if there is a group larger than that, understand that you should not be entering the church. We're trying to do what we can to protect as many people as possible and stop the spread of this virus.
Señor Obispo, ¿sí podría hacer su anuncio en español, por favor?
Bueno, soy el obispo Mark Seitz y presente conmigo tenemos nuestro vicario general, Padre Ben Flores, y también nuestra cancellera, Patricia López. Estamos aquí para anunciar acciones que hemos decidido con nuestro consejo presbiterial acerca de las cosas que necesitamos hacer para cooperar con toda la comunidad en nuestros esfuerzos para parar este virus. Hemos decidido no celebrar misas públicas. Vamos a celebrar la misa cada día, cada domingo, por seguro, con nosotros como sacerdotes y yo, y vamos a tener celebraciones por el internet que puede ver y en la televisor, pero no podemos tener un número de gente más de 10. Entonces, no podemos ofrecer la misa públicamente y también necesitamos cancelar o posponer celebraciones con más que 10. En este tiempo no necesitamos posponer celebraciones, por ejemplo, confirmaciones, bodas, misas de funeral, otras cosas. Para funerales podemos tener los ritos, no una misa, pero ritos en el cementerio, pero no en la iglesia, lastimosamente, por ese tiempo. Después de estas restricciones, sí podemos celebrar una misa memorial, pero por ahora, lastimosamente que no. ¿Qué más? En este tiempo necesitamos también cerrar las iglesias porque no tenemos las cosas que necesitamos para limpiar las iglesias, para asegurar que están seguros sin la virus, porque necesitamos limpiarlos, pero no tenemos las cosas para lavar. Cuando podemos conseguir las cosas que necesitamos, vamos a abrir las iglesias. Los sacerdotes van a continuar sirviendo, ofreciendo consejo individual, visitando los enfermos. Vamos a continuar ofreciendo el sacramento de la confesión, la reconciliación, pero en un lugar o modo que puede servir para cada parroquia. Creo que por ahora estos están los mayores cosas que hemos decidido para hoy. La situación está cambiando siempre y estoy seguro que van a tener muchas preguntas. Deben conectar con la Diócesis del Paso, particularmente por el app, My Parish app, y puede saber lo que está pasando rápidamente y seguir los cambios también.
Bishop, you talked about the postponement of funeral masses specifically. Can you tell us a little bit about what does that mean for people that have obviously passed, and how will you communicate that message to funeral directors and funeral homes?
Well, again, if we are limited in the number of people that can gather, it affects every aspect of the life of the church, just as it affects all of our lives, our work lives and school lives and so on. And sadly, it means that even things like a funeral mass, a basic service that we offer for our deceased brothers and sisters, are going to have to be done differently. And what we'll do for this time is gather with a small group at the cemetery and offer our prayers there. We won't be able to offer a mass at this time, but sometime later, when the restrictions are raised, we'll gather the family and celebrate a memorial mass for their loved ones. We'll make sure that even now, where the priests who are all going to be offering masses offer mass for that particular intention. So these are some of the ways that we'll adapt.
Bishop, you mentioned earlier that there's a lack of cleaning supplies to be able to have your parishes open. Is that a result of maybe some of the things that we saw this weekend where people were taking a little more than they needed? And how are we going to respond to that in the future?
Yeah, unfortunately, the demand for those supplies has been so great, and it's quite possible that people are buying really more than they need. But that's a separate question. The fact is, we cannot buy it, not from our supply companies, not from the stores, and for that reason, we cannot assure that the churches will be sanitized in the way that they would need to be. Our goal is to have them open and to offer adoration of the Blessed Sacrament, things like that, where people can come and go in small numbers. But right now, we're not even able to do that.
So during confessions, you did mention that there's going to be appropriate measures taken for social distancing. Can you talk about that?
For what?
For social distancing, as far as keeping people safe and not too close together for confession.
Oh, for the sacrament of reconciliation, we're going to ask that people always watch their distances. We're used to forming lines, right? And, getting up as close as we can, so we're next. But we're going to have to be very patient and even practice that when it comes to the usual situations where we line up. We'll try to arrange for people to assist us, ushers and the like, to remind those who forget about the distance required. We're going to just do whatever we can to make sure that we put up a good fight against the spread of this virus.
Durante este cierre, yo estoy seguro que usted está pensando mucho en nuestras gentes que están muy más necesitadas que especialmente nuestros hermanos inmigrantes. ¿Podría hablar sobre cómo se va a solucionar eso? ¿Tiene algún plan sobre las gentes que son más necesitadas en este tiempo?
Estamos hablando con nuestros amigos que son líderes en la comunidad para encontrar maneras en que podemos ofrecer comida a los que necesiten comida durante este tiempo, cenas, cosas así para los que están ya en sus hogares. Estamos trabajando y espero que pronto vamos a ofrecer oportunidades en las iglesias u otros lugares. También estamos hablando con los de ICE, La Migra y otros, y tenemos la palabra de ellos que no van a entrar lugares que llaman sensitivas, como hospitales, edificios civiles, otras iglesias por seguro, y no van a estar agresivos en esto durante este tiempo. Y también cuando una persona necesita ir al doctor o al hospital, ellos no necesitan tener ningún miedo acerca de eso. No pueden pedir si tienen sus papeles. no tiene ningún riesgo ir a los hospitales y si está experimentando una enfermedad, necesita rápido llamar un doctor y pide su consejo en lo que debe hacer. Muchos con ese virus pueden quedar en casa con cosas normales para una gripa. Pero los que tienen problemas más serios, que no pueden esperar bien, algo así, ellos necesitan ir a un hospital, pero necesita avisar primeramente el hospital que va a venir para asegurar que van a proteger a todos los que trabajan allá y los otros pacientes.
You mentioned in Spanish that you were able to speak to members of ICE and so on. Can you talk a little bit about how you answered in Spanish and English, please?
Yeah, we have talked to the regional director of ICE here, and we're also communicating with others involved in this work. And the word that we get is that they will be respecting the sensitive areas and not aggressively looking for people without documents in those places. So hospitals, churches, civic buildings are areas that they are not going to be actively involved. ICE it will not be seeking people who don't have violent criminal records. At least that's my understanding.
So this particular closure of your churches and the suspension of masses, do you foresee a time when we might be able to lift that? Has there been any determination made as to how long this will be?
Just like all of you, we're having to wait and see how this unfolds. If our community action is effective, and by that I mean that we are all following these directives and we're really having a dramatic impact on the spread of the virus, then it will take less time for it to play out in our region, and then we will be able to lift those restrictions. So that's our hope, but there's really no way to predict, and I think we need to be thinking in terms of the long term and praying that it will really be a short-term issue.
In English and in Spanish, is there anything that you might want to offer your feligreses, if you will, in this time of need, in this time of fear, to help them get through this particular time with this upsetting news?
Ánimo, hermanos, ánimo, porque el Señor está con nosotros y no hay nada que puede vencer nuestra esperanza en el Señor. Él es poderoso y Él puede asistirnos. No vamos a sentir que, bueno, Él va a protegernos aun cuando no estamos haciendo nada aquí para hacer cosas prudentes para evitar ese virus. Por seguro, necesitamos hacer nuestra parte, pero cuando estamos haciendo nuestra parte, el Señor va a ayudarnos, aunque tenemos que experimentar esta enfermedad. Últimamente nuestra vida es en las manos buenas de Dios. Entonces, no tienen miedo, pero hacen cosas prudentes, Señor, y ayuden su familia también a tomar cuenta a lo que está pasando. Cada uno necesita hacer su parte. Y cuando estamos haciendo lo que podemos, el Señor va a cuidar para lo demás.
If you could answer that in English, please.
Okay. Brothers and sisters, have faith. Trust in God. Don't be afraid. How often Jesus needed to tell his disciples that. And that is his message to us today. That doesn't mean that we say, oh, well, God's going to take care of it for us. We can just go on living as we wish. No, that's never the way prayer works. That's never the way God works. He wants our cooperation. So we do what we prudently can. We do the best we can, and we put the rest confidently in God's hands. It doesn't mean we're not going to go through difficulties. In fact, Christ promised the opposite, that we would experience crosses in this life. But it does mean that no matter what happens, no matter what we're going through, God is with us, and He's actually so great, He can even bring good. And so we take what He told us to heart. We take it seriously, that we do not need to be afraid. Let's really let this be a moment when our faith comes to the fore, and we walk truly as people in the midst of this community, that they can look to and say, that person has something different about them. We're all afraid. We're all ready to run wherever we can go, but they are continuing to do what needs to be done. I want what they have.